Hi guys. What I thought I might do today is talk about using the pen tool. Pen tool is one of the key things in Illustrator. It's something that you really do want to get to know, and because it is the most accurate method of drawing in Illustrator. So I'm going to get stuck into it. So I'm going to open up my layers panel and have that open so I can see what I'm doing here. And I have this image here. What I'd like to do is turn its opacity down. This is going to be a guide only, so I'm just going to turn the opacity of this image down in my layers panel. And I'm also going to lock that layer. So I'm really just going to be using this as a guide. Once I've got that, I'm going to make a new layer and I'm going to begin using the pen tool. Before I do, just a word about the pen tool. I'm just going to zoom over here for a moment. P for pen, that's your shortcut. Get that guy there. There are other tools to do this, but pen tool really is the best tool for the job. So as a bit of an exercise, I'm going to click and drag out and release. Click and drag out, release. And I'm just going to set my format up. Click and drag out, release. And I'm getting this snake-like idea. This is creating smooth curves. If I need to come down in a straight line from here, I want to click back on that end point so I can go back to creating my curves. And it's a very worthwhile exercise before you begin to just get your sort of mind, have a bit of a play essentially before you really tackle it. Pen tool is a bit tricky for the first time. Remember that if you want to come up as a straight line, click and off you go. And there's your sort of very rough idea of how we can create smooth curves. So when we look at our graphic here that we're going to try to reproduce, we're going to be doing this idea. And what I would suggest is when you're doing this, have your attributes set up with just a stroke and no fill. And we're basically just going to be gathering the shape information essentially without any colors. And where a point generally occurs, and that's my first point, is where we have a change of direction. So if you can imagine, a circle has 4 main points, so that would be 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock sort of idea. So every quarter circle is where you're looking to create a curve, every quarter, if you can think about it that way. So clicking and dragging, and I'm really just trying to describe this shape in as few points as possible. As you can see, I'm going to have an issue here, so I'm going to click back on that end point and get back on my way. And there we go, nice and smooth, nice and minimal. So I have again, I'm going to click back on that end point, drag it, pulling it up, as you can see, clicking back on that end point. And you can see that this shape can be created with very few points. And that's really the key to creating smooth curves. Very few points, clicking back on that end point. And as we go, clicking, clicking, clicking back on that end point. And it does take a bit of practice, there's no doubt about that. And again, so I've got another shape inside of here, and it's that 4 points in the circle idea. Through this shape here, I'm probably going to be able to do it with very few points if I get them in the right place. Going down, clicking and clicking, and just dragging. So clicking on that end point again. Maybe there's a point through here and here. Now, I'm not too worried about this issue here. I've always got the ability with my white arrow, make sure you've got your white arrow to do this. You can get back in here and you can change those arcs if you like. If you're not quite right, you can always come back, get your white arrow and sort of adjust them. So I'm going to go back to my pen tool. P is the shortcut, back to the pen tool, connecting back up to that fellow and going on with the job. So clicking, a little curvature, clicking on that end point, straight lines, click and drag and hold, click, and I'm going to do this quite quickly, so off I go, and there is my second shape. Okay, so this is the most accurate that you can be with Illustrator. Click, click, click and hold and drag. And as you can see, it is super accurate. There's nothing like the pen tool. Pen tool is the most accurate drawing tool in Illustrator. Click on that end point. Click on the points. And as I say, if I'm not exactly in the right place, I can always come back and get my white arrow and just refine those points. You don't want to put too many points in it because it's going to be very difficult. See, right, this little point here, I can adjust that one, and I'm pretty good with that. So that's that part of the piece done. All right, so I've drawn it all in line. I haven't used any colours yet. That would be, I can do that last. So this colour, and I'm just going to give it a colour now because I feel like I've got what I need. So I might pick a greyish colour. This internal colour, just double clicking, maybe I'll make that red. I'm not too worried about the colours. And give that a colour, maybe that's black. It's looking good. And then I've got these shapes here. One thing I can do is if I can hover over it and I'll be able to see those shapes, you can sort of see them. Another way you can find that shape in there that sort of is being obscured by that black shape is pressing Command Y on your keyboard, Command Y. That takes us to the outline view, which is a really nifty way to look at artwork. Command Y will take me in and out of this view. That makes it easy for me to select those fellas and give them a colour. And I'll give that a yellow colour. And I'm going to go Command Y to take me back out. There's my bird. Very nice indeed. Pen tool is the best. Get used to it. It's a bit painful the first time you use it, but that's just sort of the way it is. I'm going to create this star idea at the background here, but strangely enough, I'm actually going to start out with a circle to do it. So I'm just going to draw out a circle, something like that. That will do nicely. And I'm going to use an effect to do this. And I'm going to drop into the effects menu. And I'm going to use the distort menu. And I'm going to use this thing called pucker and bloat. I think that'll do the job. That one there. And I'm just going to hit the preview. And I can push it one way or the other, depending upon what I want. But maybe that's pretty good for what I'm after. I'm going to say okay. Now, I'm only drawing all this work on one layer. So that means I can arrange my stack, if you like. So by selecting this topmost object, I'm going to right-click with my mouse, right-clicking with my mouse, and I'm going to arrange it to the back. And that's looking good. I'm going to give it some styling, so I'm going to have a yellow fill with a black stroke. Maybe I'll make that black stroke a little bit heavier, something like that. Now, if you can see from mine, I've got this guide here. There's a sort of a double line in there, and I'm going to show you how to do that, which is kind of another thing, but it's worth seeing. This object, this circle with the effect applied, has these attributes. It's the yellow fill and a black stroke. I'm going to go into my appearance panel. And the appearance panel is a very handy and cool tool because it tells me everything that's going on with this shape. It's told me that I've got a black stroke, I've got a yellow fill, and I've actually applied an effect to it. And as you can see, you can turn these eyeballs on and off. So I've got three things going on here. What I want to do is I'm going to have a second stroke. And this is something really cool that I can do. So I've got one stroke. I'm going to add an additional stroke. I'm going to add, down the bottom here, I'm going to add a new stroke. So I've got two strokes on this thing. they're both the same weight, so that's not really visible. So I'm going to create the second stroke to be a bit fatter, and I'm going to change the colour of that to perhaps red. And there I've got this double stroke thing going on. It's really a good looking thing. And that's probably all I need to do. So I've now got my bird, and I might, maybe I'll scale that down, that little star thing a little bit. And that's looking good. I want to do this bit of type here now. So this is my type. I'll do the type. Yes, I'll do the type. So I've got my type, and I'm going to put a little bit of text in here. Okay, get my text tool. Thank you, Illustrator. There we go. And I'm going to put in red birds. You can write anything you like, of course, but red birds, and oops, get your spelling right. Red birds. Okay, I'm going to scale that up. Okay, now I'm going to use a sort of a heavy, thick-ish style font. So I'm going to change my font out to, something that's reasonably, that might look all right for me, but, use your own choice and judgment. So he's going to scale that up, and I want to get that sort of effect you can see there. I'm going to try to do something like that and, do whatever you like. So while I have that type selected there, that's my type, and I've got some warping options at the top of my screen. I'm going to make it a warp selection, and I'm going to click that button there, and I'll get these choices I can make. So I can have an arc at the top, I can have an arc at the bottom, whichever you sort of think looks good. So maybe I'll go with that. That might look all right. It's not exactly like the display, but we don't want to be all the same. Maybe I'll go with that. Maybe I'll go that way. That'll do. All right, doesn't matter. Mine looks a bit different, but that's quite fine. Okay, so I might just hide that puppy there. So there it is there. I'm going to put a stroke on that. So what I might do is I might expand that. So that's an effect that has been applied to type. What I want to do that is I'm going to expand that through there. And I'm just going to say okay to these options. And now I can give it the stroke that I'm after. So I'm going to give it a nice yellow stroke. And one thing about strokes is that, as you can see, that little red line that runs through the middle of the text there, it's sort of, the line is generating from the center out. I can change that stroke, and I can tell it to build towards the inside, the middle, or the outside, and I think I like the outside for this particular piece. So I'm going to zoom that away, and there is my logo. That's my logo. So that's the pen tool. Great tool. Get used to the pen tool. Get good at the pen tool. It takes a little bit of time and effort, but it will be worth it. I hope that's been helpful to you guys, and good luck with your pen.